Yeah, live. All right. Aaron, welcome back, sir.
Lewis, thanks for having me.
Right. I just want your first reaction to what was
I mean,
that night.
if I could sum it up in, let's see, 3 words. Give me 3 words.
Yeah.
British wet dream. Would that
There you
work?
go.
Does that
Go.
translate over to your side? Because, I mean, it is, when we were doing the breakdown, we were like, this is all going too good to be true how we're predicting it. It can't be like that. So at least from my perspective, the person for me that wasn't gonna, the 2 for me that I wasn't too sure on were Corey McKenna, which turned out I was right to be unsure of that.
Yeah.
Regardless of if you thought she won or not, I thought she lost. But
I thought she lost.
Yeah, I was surprised it was a split. And then, but although I'm not surprised where it was. And then Molly McCann, that was the one for me where I was like, Luana's Muay Thai length and takedown defense are going to show up here. And I don't really know, what else to really say. I mean, Aspinall got, if you would have predicted that finish to me, Lewis, I would have said, you need to relax.
What did I say? I said it will smash him in the first round. And that was
it was a little going. Yeah. Right. And so, but he didn't smash him. He took him down and straight arm locked him, which is just,
he smacked him about on the feet as well.
No, you're right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're right. I'm not trying to I mean, my point is we saw a UFC main event in 2022 end with a straight arm lock on a guy with, 40 fights?
45, I think. Yeah, something like
that. How many times has he been submitted?
Once. And one.
Exactly. Yeah, that is just like, it's, the price on the Aspinall submission was plus 700 over here. So 7-1. You're never going to get that kind of price on a submission for Tom Aspinall again. The secret's now out. The dude's got the secret that wasn't a secret, that the black belts work. So
yeah, and shout out Mustard MMA and Inside the Cage, because they both did a bet of Paul Craig, Paddy, and Tom all by submission as a 3-way, and they all won a lot of money from that, and they were buzzed.
I wish I would have tailed that.
I wish I did as well. I didn't have the balls to.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah,
they're doing great stuff. But yeah, it was Tom Aspinall winning wasn't a surprise to me. It wasn't like in first round wasn't a surprise to me. It was the method. Like is he gonna win the title with a scarf hold or something? Like this is just crazy. The level above he is of what other heavyweights can compete with him grappling wise.
Grappling wise, no.
Yeah, exactly. And on the feet, he can compete
Curtis
with all
Blades of them. Cannot compete. He is a wrestler, and you're in a world of trouble even with Tom on his back. He's been drilling these moves for years with his dad.
And we'll talk about it in the breakdown. But Curtis Blades, and by the way, for anybody over in America, March Madness this weekend. That's why my voice is like this. Michigan State lost to Duke. It sucked. But I'm feeling fine. But this, that's the thing. Like that. I just think that Curtis Blades, and we'll talk about this more on Wednesday for the main event, Blades and Dawkins, but Blades is awesome at the beginning of a fight. As the fight goes on, if those first 2 takedowns are stuffed, Blades becomes such a worse fighter. It's insane. Go back to the Junior Dos Santos fight. Yes, he knocked out a Junior Dos Santos, but he couldn't get takedowns on Dos Santos. And so it's like, I don't think Aspinall would get touched by him. I think he'd be too quick, too strong. And, if that was 5 rounds, I think Aspinall is heavily favored.
Is it weird to me? The only way I see Tom losing based on his skill set is if he just gets a clean punch to the jaw and it just shuts him off. Ty's capable of it. Derek's capable of it. Francis is definitely capable of it. Stipe, but I don't think Stipe is actually coming back. Like, I don't see any problem for Tom within this top 5. I think it's a very intelligent call out as well. Someone that has no takedown defense. And
I mean, I'm a complete believer now.
Yeah, man.
I'm a believer in quite a few of these guys. Arnold Allen, we can talk about. Brad Wheeler brought him up in the comments here. Shout out to Brad. But
Arnold is numero uno.
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm willing to pick him number 1 yet by doing what he did to Dan Hooker. But Dan Hooker, you need to take a year off, a full year minimum. like, and not come back at 145. I don't know how he didn't go down. Like, that's the craziest part of it is like, how is Hooker standing for all that at the end and had enough like wherewithal to complain about the stoppage, which it wasn't a amazing stoppage, but it was a humane stoppage.
There was no fighting back at all. He just shelled up and took it.
Right. Which I mean, like, yeah, I get those elbows were literally hitting the gloves, not any part of it. But if you're doing that, you've been beat up badly.
Yeah, I mean, did you see his face? It's literally dented.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Did you see it? Did you see the reaction by Stylebender? That was like on UFC's. They had him watching it, and it was really funny. Not funny, like, but interesting that in this fight. I don't mean funny. It's never funny when these guys lose. I have respect, but it was interesting that in this fight, once Arnold started lighting him up, he starts going shoot, shoot, shoot. And if Israel Adesanya is watching your fight and he starts yelling shoot, stop the fight as a ref. If the ref needs, if he hears Israel Adesanya ever yelling shoot as a fire's getting lit up on the feet, they need to stop it. That means, like, if you're yelling shoot to Dan Hooker, which I respect Dan Hooker's game, but if you're at a point where Dan Hooker needs to shoot, it's done. I mean, I think the ref stoppage was great there.
Yeah, and I mean, we had that fight as pretty much a 50-50 in a lot of ways, Dan.
Well, we had if he could survive that onslaught in the first. We said it was going to get interesting in the second and third, which it might have. That's the thing for Dan, is it might have gotten interesting, but that's not the ref's job.
But I'll tell you what he looked like. He looked like Dan Hooker that faced Michael Chandler. He looked slow. He looked sloppy. He wasn't moving well. His jab was slow. No head movement.
That was a really bad Dan Hooker. Pretty much the Dan Hooker we've seen. We've seen that Dan Hooker how many times? What, 2, 3? The last 3, 4 times he's fought.
Yeah.
And even though we've kind of attributed it to competition, and I think because we know how much he goes through with regards to quarantine on both sides and like being away from his family, I think from my perspective, I never really dove into does he really want to be fighting, or is he just fighting? And I mean that fight, like Dan Hooker doesn't show up like that. Like that's, but he got hit with so much, and he did drop Arnold. Like
he clipped him. Yeah.
Like,
Arnold took a knee for a second.
That was pretty fucking crazy, to be honest.
But there, compliment Arnold for just bouncing straight back up and continuing that onslaught.
And I'm talking out both sides of my mouth here in a way, but I'm glad about the stoppage, but I also would have been curious to see what second, 2, and 3 looked like. I really would, because Arnold wasn't fighting too intelligently there, but he was fighting beautifully. So it worked, but
yeah, he just went screw it.
It's a lot. That's a lot to put through if you got 15 or now 20 more minutes that he's going to be dealing with getting to close to the 5 round. But I mean, I want to see him in there relatively soon, but he got clipped. So I'm curious as to how long he's going to be out.
I think he wanted to do it. He wanted to fight a lot more often now, especially climbing to the top. And I think his call out was the smartest of the bunch, because in that murderer's row now you got Yair, Brian Ortega, Korean Zombie, Volkanovski, Holloway, and Cater. He picked Cater. Cater will get you a title shot if you beat Cater.
Yeah, it's very high profile after that last fight.
Exactly. That is Cater is the most winnable fight for Arnold Allen out of all of those. Because if you said Yair Rodriguez versus Arnold Allen, I will shit my pants for Arnold Allen because of what Cater just did. So yeah, especially you don't want to. Holloway's just chilling as well, waiting for that title shot. Oh, we got new guy popping in. Cheers, man. Top channel.
Shout out to Kugel. Appreciate it. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to just say that I think any of the other guys, Korean Zombie actually is very winnable for him, but he's locked up now with this bullshit title shot. Which he's going to get massacred in well, I've got that video coming out next week, but Arnold was very intelligent there. 9 bonuses, he won 50 grand as well, which I think
there was 9
other
bonuses.
than Molly, his finish impressed me the most, because I did not see him doing that to Dan.
Can the UFC just start giving bonuses to all the finishing fights? Like, just
I want
do
them
that.
to do it like they do in One Championship, where they do it live.
Yeah, I mean, they might not do that, but honestly, I'm glad they all got bonuses, but start doing that for all the cards. Then like have your own kind of PFL version of trying to make the action happen more. PFL offers more points for finishes.
And Manny's bringing it up as well. Yair and Brian are actually in the works to fight. There you go. Yeah. So it's
Yair and Brian. What a weird fight. I have no idea how that
Brian get him to the floor? That's pretty much it, isn't it?
I guess. I just don't know what it's gonna look like on the
Brian
feet.
don't want to trade with it.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking, does like Brian get like beat up like Holloway beat up by Yair? If it does, or is Brian the favorite? And would Brian be the favorite there? Is that pick 'em? Like,
I've no idea. That's a real stylistic.
That's a really weird fight.
I got Brad picking up. I wasn't surprised. I thought the weight cut, previous damage, travel, etc. didn't help Booker. Arnold's on hook. Yeah, exactly that. That's what we said in the pre.
I was shocked that the odds were pick 'em. I really was. You talked me into why it was a little bit, but when I first saw Arnold Allen was a slight underdog, I just thought this is a perfect time to be fighting Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though he was saying the weight cut's easy, he looked like shit.
You don't cut to 145 as a 6'1" man unless you have a seed of desperation to your move.
Or wear sunglasses at a weigh-in unless you're hiding your sunken eyes.
Yeah, and like saying like I always planned to go back down to 145. It just took like a 3-fight losing streak for me to decide Pinocchio.
Absolutely.
But speaking of peas, though, let's get to the baddie.
You want to get to Paddy?
Yes, I do.
Go on then. What? Obviously, he got clipped at the start.
Again.
He always gets clipped.
It's the same thing every fucking baddie fight.
But who won?
Yeah, Scousers don't get knocked out unless they're Darren
finished Till. As well.
Scousers don't get knocked out unless they're Darren Till.
Exactly. Yeah, they get hit though. But,
yes, yeah. I mean, 2 fights against 2 subpar UFC competitors, and I get it. You respect Luigi Vanderini. I don't really rate him.
I think Luigi's a very good boxer.
He's better than Kazula. That's for sure.
Better than Kazula. Yeah.
Kazula is just 1 fight away from a BKFC contract, I think.
He's also 37 years old, isn't he?
Like I said, 1 fight away from a BKFC contract, and he, they accept up to like the 60s over there, I think. But I mean, Paddy with Molly, it needs to be on every card. They need to be together on every card. It just, no matter where it is, their dynamic is incredible. Their support for each other. I think the amount they really improve each other is, impressive. And obviously they're not rolling together, but from a mental and confident perspective, they feed off each other's energy. I think Paddy saw that finish from Molly, and I don't think he needed that to beat Kazula. He did what he needed to. And I'll say this, like, Paddy is one of the few people that I truly believe can pull off what Sean O'Malley's doing, which is like, I'm not going to fight a top 15 until I get more money. Paddy's an asset. The UFC knows that. The UFC, I hate to say it, should keep giving him favorable matchups for his next 2 or 3.
Yeah, and also people are going to still
superstar.
Want him because they make money off him.
Yeah,
they're going to get notoriety because all of Vargas, even though he lost, people know who he is now. They didn't know him from the Zhu Rong fight.
No,
where he
or the Brock Weaver fight,
or the Brock Weaver bullshit fight again. Yeah, exactly. So, and welcome Steve as well. MMA minutes in the chat as well. But yeah, Paddy to me, like, even though
he's such an asset,
the only thing people can say is, "Oh, but you did get clipped." It's like, yeah, he took one punch.
It's more fun than a domination is like a little moment where you're like, "Oh," and then that happens. Like,
but then as soon as he reversed, he stood up and did the hip toss.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, and I know you as well, went, "Nice, it's done."
Yeah. Like I just was like, "That's a wrap."
That is how good he is. How many people, when they just get into the ground, you go, done, it's done.
Yeah, I mean,
he is special.
Yeah, he's legit. I've known he's legit for a long time. I see guys like him and kind of James Gallagher from Bellator reminded me of him, but James Gallagher not quite as legit to me. You've seen kind of at some points where it's been exposed. Ricky Banderas, shout out to turning into the Karate Kid when they fought. In Bellator, and now Ricky's like on like a 7-fight losing streak or something since that. But yeah, Paddy, I think he's legit. Keep giving him favorable matchups. I think his next fight should be in the States. I think you kind of alternate between the two. I think So 155. Like Steve's asking, stealing at 155.
Around 8, rank 8, I think.
Yep, and then top 5 is where I think.
I think he beats a lot of people.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the current rankings, but
I'll bring it up for you. I'll bring it up in a rock. But yeah, I think as of right now, but he's improving all the time. He is willing. He's got that confidence where he's willing just to throw something.
I don't. How do you feel about how big he gets in between camps? Do you think that matters?
Nah, he's done it all his life.
Okay. You don't think? I think that's what matters is he gets into the top 8 or 5. I think those.
He doesn't get that big. He just gets it. It looks big because of how shredded he is. He doesn't actually.
I mean, man, I saw him in person. He was fat. I saw him in New York City. I saw him in New York City, dude. Yeah. He was huge. Huge. Yeah. Like if I saw him on
guy anyway. He's not a small guy.
No, exactly. Yeah, no, he's legit. I think that you do the Topuria fight in 3 or 4 fights. Why rush that? I initially, right after, I was like, yes, next fight, make it Topuria. Like, let's calm down. You have 2 legit prospects here that you can keep building up, and I think they'll eventually fight.
Okay, this is the lightweight rankings from 15. 15 is Diego Ferreira. 14 is Brad Riddell. Gamrot, 13. Arman Tsarian, 12. Fiziev, 11. Gregor Gillespie, 9. McGregor also 9. Hooker, 8. Ferguson, 7.
Hooker's 8? Wait, why the fuck is Dan Hooker 8? Everybody above him beats it. Get Dan Hooker out of there. Man, I forget how good 155 is. I'm gonna say,
looking at that, there's matchups that Paddy can definitely win, but down the top 10, I could see him beating Tony Ferguson. I really could.
I mean, Tony Ferguson is like only technically ranked because he never fights because he's decrepit. Like if he fought regularly, he would be out of the rankings by now.
Yeah, but yeah, Steve's right. Gamrot is unreal. Yeah, he is. Like Diego Ferreira, definitely winnable fight. Brad Riddell, he gets Brad Riddell back.
Diego Ferreira, Ferguson, Hooker, those guys, yes, they're ranked, but yeah, it's like they're on their way out. Those 3 at least.
If they matched Fiziev with Paddy, Fiziev's gonna fucking kill it.
Yeah, you don't get caught by Fiziev, you get put away by Fiziev there. Like that's the thing.
But then in my head, he fought Jacasey. Jacasey went 3 rounds with him. Who would win, Jacasey or? So if you do MMA math like that, maybe Paddy is. Maybe he could fuck these guys up.
Yeah, I'd say top 12 to top 10. I really forget how good 155 is.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It's probably the most stacked.
Absolutely stacked.
Yeah, that and welterweight, and even featherweight is ridiculous right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're hitting a good upswing. One of the few fights that didn't get a bonus, unless you have more to say about Paddy.
No, man.
I think we covered it. Yeah, Gunnar Nelson did what he needed to do. He looked okay.
Called it. Yeah. I said it on my breakdown on my thing. Gunnar Nelson is just gonna take his back and beat him up.
Yeah, just back. Yeah, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, Sato has got a very, very padded record at 16-4 at the time.
And he's just Sato, it's clear, like either he catches you or you hold on to him.
Or 2.5 years out for Gunnar.
Yep.
Good.
He looked like he was in good shape. Yes.
Yeah. He got clipped a couple times in the striking, but that's always going to happen when you have your hands by your hips and you have that darting karate bounce.
Exactly.
Your whole body and face is exposed if the guy just hits a great jab.
Yep.
And it just busted his nose open. Yeah, I think he only got clipped about twice, but there's not much to go on for Gunnar. I don't know what's next for him because he's never going to fight ranked guys.
Yeah, and Brad's right here. Islam kills all. You're right. Like no one's arguing that. Islam versus Paddy. Just imagine that. Sarukian versus Paddy. That would go badly for Paddy.
Sarukian's
so good, dude. He fought Islam on what? He fought Islam on what? 3 days' notice.
Went decision, right?
Yeah, and it was competitive.
He saw he did against Joel Alvarez, who's 18 or 1 at the time. Just schooled him, smashed him to bits.
Yeah. God, I love 155. It's great. There's not much more to say with Gunnar. Like he looked good enough, but I just feel a guy who gets submitted by Miguel Baeza. I'd like to see you go a little more aggressive for the submission, but get the win, move on. And I don't disagree with Steve. I think one of the few guys who really has a chance against Islam is Sarukian, because that's such an advantage going 15 minutes already with him on short notice. Like, you're going to know how it feels to be in there with Islam. Like,
the only difference for me with those two is Islam seems to be improving crazy,
and
Sarukian looks like the same guy who was already at that level.
That was kind of Islam for the first 4 or 5 fights of his win streak. He was very anonymous after the Martins knockout. Like, he looked okay. He was kind of a decision guy. Then it was the Dober fight, sorry, where I definitely saw that change in his mentality, where it was like, he's like, I'm going to smash you and finish you, not just smash you for 50. Like, before it was like, I'm going to smash you for full fight. Now it's like, I'm going to smash you till you stop. That's how he is now. And I would love to, I love to see Sarukian earn it, after 9-10 fight win streak, which is what he's going to have to do, because he talks this much shit talk. So
I like that as well. You don't need everyone talking shit.
No, exactly. I agree. But speaking of talking shit, another Scouser, Molly Meatball McCann. I'm sorry I doubted you, girl. I feel horrible about doubting you here against Luana. She looked outstanding from physical perspective and from her game plan perspective. Everything was working for Molly throughout the fight. There was like 3 or 4 times before she finished her where Luana was looking for the way out and just got the clinch in time, just got like a hold of Molly to like slow her down. But the takedown,
the atomic slam.
Yeah. And that's after Lupita Godinez. I get it, Lupita is a 115er, but Lupita 2 of 15 on takedowns. She's a world-class wrestler. Molly McCann did not come into this as a wrestler, if I'm not mistaken. She came into this as like a brawler. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like absolutely incredible. Really great fight. A 3rd round finish with a spinning elbow. It's going to be a knockout of the year candidate. Luana
I bet we'll probably just claim that as you're going to have to do an Impa Kasanganai Joaquin Buckley to kind of beat it.
Yeah, Luana did her job by falling like a dead person and just falling perfectly, like with her feet like dead. Like, Luana played her part. And I picked Luana, man. I was like 2-time Brazilian Muay Thai champion, so much longer, taller, as long as it doesn't get to the ground. And she did so on the wrestling again. It's Molly. There's a reason there's weight classes, and there's a reason that losses in MMA make you a better fighter. And that's an example is Molly McCann, period.
Yeah,
amazing
not to mention how much the crowd just plays with it, it just helps so much. And it must have, Luana put on a poker face, but she felt the pressure. Like, absolutely. Yeah. So did Vargas. So did, Spinning
Meatball. Absolutely. I mean, if I had to be honest, I think she was the star of the night. Yeah, I get it. Tom Aspinall did what he needed, and it's important. The star of the night was Molly Meatball McCann.
Yeah.
Against Luana Carolina. That is all on Meatball.
That's why I put her in the thumbnail.
Yeah, she earned it, man. I
got some shit for the thumbnail.
Yeah, because there's no Paul Craig. You're damn Brit. You're damn Brit. I don't understand what his comment really meant. Yeah.
We'll be claiming him as a Brit. It's like, he's British.
Yeah. But anyway. I picked, but shit, Paul Craig's so far down, dude. We just have so much. I forgot they switched it up.
Let's talk about Paul, man. Yeah. I mean,
Paul Craig.
You picked Krylov, right?
No, I originally had Krylov. On your breakdown channel, or on your breakdown, I commented immediately after, without even hearing anything. I was like, first instinct, Krylov by KO. He's too fast, dangerous, and experienced. And then you do tape, you kind of just do a little soul searching. You see how the fighters have looked in the last few, and just the fact that, check out the breakdowns. Aaron the Dog MMA. It's a fantastic channel. Brad, we'd love to have you on at some point. It's just one of these things where Paul Craig's mentality is so damn sharp, and it's like a Venus flytrap with a bug. Like, as soon as he gets a hold of you, it's clamped down. You're in trouble. You start panicking, which makes it worse. And then, like, that triangle was so unusual looking. The angle he got it from, it didn't look like a lot of triangles I've seen before. was like
Nikita kind of punched his way into it, didn't he? He's loading up so much from the guard and just getting carried away with because he was landing heavy shots on Craig, and it looked at one time like Craig was about to go out, and then he just scooped back, hooked. It was one of the fastest things I've ever seen in my life as well.
Yeah, it was just beautiful. I mean, this is really a cool run Paul Craig's going on. There's no way that back like around the Alonzo Menafield loss or something, you would have told me this guy's making a run. Even after he got the miracle Kennedy, like this dude was getting dominated by Kennedy and Njoku. Dominated. And then
he's dominated by pretty much everybody.
Right. This is like, it's so crazy.
But he's a one-trick pony, and that trick is fucking amazing.
Trick is really good. It's a very good trick. I mean, it's like you're seeing like triangle chokes out of how many fighters besides Paul Craig in the UFC?
You're not mine. Brian Ortega don't even throw him up anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll talk soon, Brad, but I'll happily have you on anytime. But yeah, I mean, dude, it's like, look at Paul Craig's career, and it's just like hilarious. He got knocked out by Tyson Pedro. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Remember Tyson Pedro?
When he fell in love with his hands. He fell in love with his hands, didn't he?
And then Khalil Roundtree knocked him out. Like, he couldn't beat Khalil Roundtree. That's crazy to me. But the way he fights,
Khalil's good, man. You see the size of Khalil these days coming in. He beat your man Carl Robertson.
It's just funny that his last loss was against Alonzo Menafield, and then he goes on this crazy run. He's in title talks or like title contention to contention talks, and it's legit.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Well, what do you think of his call out, Anthony Smith? I like that.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant call out.
Winnable fight.
It's a winnable fight. I don't think Anthony Smith makes the same mistakes as Krylov. My initial pick is Anthony Smith.
Yeah. Yeah. And Anthony
So this is what I did with Krylov too. Yeah. This is what I did with Krylov too. Anthony Smith is not that dumb. He does so much analysis work now with his kind of stuff. I just think he knows the only way you lose to Paul Craig is hanging out there.
Just stand back up.
Right. Don't hang out in his guard. Don't. Do not. I don't care if you're landing hammer fists and you're seeing, get up and say, get up. He can't, he can fly and triangle you, but he probably can't triangle you from the feet.
No, probably not. I don't know if you can get a 6
flying triangle to win the 205 title, and he retires in Scotland.
Flying triangles, what Glover, Yuri Prochazka.
Yeah, exactly. When Yuri wins the title. I agree with that too.
He's gonna smash that title. But all right, let's talk about the fight that I really believed Jai Herbert was gonna win. And he nearly fucking did. He nearly did. In your show, so many people were asking, do you actually think Jai has power? And I'm like, if you've not seen Jai win,
man.
Because he's had the really rough time in the UFC. He's been down murderer's row in his debuts.
He's been down the whole time.
Unfair. Yeah. It's really unfair. And beating Worthy, who's not in the UFC anymore, it's not a UFC level opponent in my head.
Correct.
But he smashed him. He did what he had to do. He smashed him to bits.
He showed his worth in this fight. You saw Ilya's eyes. He was scared and hurt several times.
Yep.
And I kind of didn't like what I saw Ilya. I know he won the fight. I know it was an impressive knockout at the end. But his reaction to getting hit and pressured there was pretty concerning, because you saw it, and you can go back and watch the fight. You can see the concern in his face when it starts to happen. His puncher face is not great, to be honest. Jai, I really thought Jai had a great chance. He definitely showed he wasn't a plus 400 underdog.
He also managed to keep it. What we said as well is if Ilya gets inside that reach, which was like a 8 or 9 inch reach advantage, is insane.
Yep.
He can land those power shots to the chest. He can, any body shot, to be honest. And he did that. He landed the body shot. Jai drops his left hand, and it's good night. But he only got inside the guard once, and that's what he does as a devastating striker, as well as a wicked grappler.
Right.
But the size did matter. He could not do anything to Jai when
he's got to be at 145.
Yeah, he is not a 155er.
No, he does. I don't like. I can't think of any fighters I like that jump between weight classes, and he's not an exception.
Yeah.
He's a 145er. He's 5'8", and I think that's with his shoes on, because he looked shorter than that to me. Luckily he reached for the sky with that overhand and it caught the chin. Yeah, tall man striking defense. God, it works till it doesn't.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Stefan Struve.
I was about to say Stefan Struve's injury.
My favorite heavyweight of all time, bro. Absolute heartbreak watching that guy's career. I was live at the Ben Rothwell Struve fight. I was like, just fucking stay down, dude. Just stay down. Like 7 nut shots later, he gets knocked out after winning the. I'm like, of course, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
The guy that never used the reach advantage.
Never. What could have been was Stefan Struve, man. It's Stefan Struve, Dustin Hazlett. There's a few that hurt my heart to the deepest level of what could have been. TJ Grant. Like there's just these what could have been guys that just MMA is unforgiving. And perfect segue. Let's get this Grundy fight done because that was the saddest moment of the night.
Yeah, only one way he lost, wasn't it?
Yep. And it happened in 57 seconds. Grundy was clearly emotional. It was showing, and MMA is not the best sport for emotions. And I think he fought reckless. I think he knows better than to put his head where he put it. And I just, got put to sleep in 50 seconds. It was really hard seeing his dad. Like, I'll be honest there, because that's, probably the last fight of his career that his father sees. And it's like, that's got to be a brutal after the fight for Mike. I think he's probably cut as well.
It's his last fight on the contract, yeah.
Yeah, and Mike Grundy is one of these guys who, in tremendous folk style wrestling career and everything, I think a lot of damage from other sports before coming into MMA, and made his MMA debut in his 30s, I believe. And it's just, I don't see him fighting again anywhere, to be honest. But maybe he fights again. I'm not inside his head. But Amirkhani, man, he can really lay in that anaconda.
It's literally his move, in it.
It really works.
You shoved your head. You shoved your head into Amir Khani's arm. What do you think is going to happen? And, one thing I will say is Makwan Amirkhani's post-fight thing. Fuck you.
What was it?
He was just running around like a nutter. Like just being
he's
super
a douche.
disrespectful, laughing in front of Grundy. Yeah, he's just an absolute twat.
Yeah, he is he's always been a tool though. Like when he knocked out Andy Ogle and shit. Like,
yeah, it's like calm down.
Yeah, like you knocked out Andy Ogle with a non-legit knee that they just stopped the fight early and you celebrated. But I mean,
get those fighters you just don't like, and I fucking hate him.
It's just like that's how Amirkhani wins. I'm sure the next fight they're gonna put him against somebody who doesn't do takedowns just so that they can like not see that. I just don't feel like the UFC is like in the Amirkhani business.
Mike Grundy should have just kept playing the Lerone Murphy knockout over and over again.
Yeah, that was sad though. Saddest moment of the night. Really did bum me out.
Yeah, well, one fight that was kind of the pee break. The go do your steak, which was 2 Russians on an English, like on a British card, which was very random. Sergey Pavlovich and Shamil Abdurakhimov.
Is Shamil still ranked after this fight?
Shamil shouldn't be in the UFC after this fight. The 41-year-old, who was Aspinall's first opponent for this card, by the way. Could you imagine how that would have gone?
That's what I'm saying.
That would have been one punch.
It's so crazy. That just shows Tom Aspinall's mentality. Because he was honest, when he was like, Volkov is a little bit sooner than I was expecting, but I'm taking the challenge because I know I'm ready. And it's just like, to go from potentially fighting Shamil Abdurakhimov on just like the middle or like a co-main event to fighting in the main event against Volkov and not even blinking. Like, that's just crazy.
Did he get touched? Did Tom get even punched? I don't think he did. I think it was pretty flawless.
Yeah, it was like Woodley versus Darren Till, except quicker.
Yeah, it wasn't a whole round of them just circling each other.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah. Tom not gonna do that. Sergey Pavlovich, I don't know. He's okay.
That is it. That is a bloated ass record. 15-1, and that is what
he's kind of bloated too.
Yeah, he didn't look. But again,
he looks like he's post. It looks like USADA's taking an effect on Sergey Pavlovich. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But,
which is probably why he was out for so long. But I mean,
I wasn't crazy impressed, but he did what he had to do. He
put Jake Collier against him.
He finished. Yeah, I think Jake Collier would smash him. The prototype.
Yeah, put the prototype against.
Put him against Parker Porter.
There isn't one heavyweight outside of like a fringe 15 that I'm not gonna say put the prototype in there with. I'm a pro prototype guy. Fight me on it. Let's go, Jake.
You're like the middleweight that gains 90 pounds.
Yep. He's learning how to work with it, man. He's learning how to work with his heavyweight body. It's coming. Jake Collier, 2022. Let's go, Jake.
Okay. My next question is, how did you score Jack Shaw and Valliev? Because it's a draw. I scored the first 2 rounds for Valliev and this third of 10-8 for Jack.
Yeah, so I had it for Valliev personally. I just, it was
2-1.
Yeah, 2-1. Yeah, I can see the 10-8. I didn't personally have a 10-8. I was expecting
dropped him twice, took him down 3 times, nearly finished the fight like 3 times. I was like, I can't think of any better way to do a 10-8.
Did anybody give him a 10-8? Do you know?
Yeah, that's how he won.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah.
2 judges gave him a 10-8.
So I maybe it was just so yeah, so they gave they
also gave him round 1.
Yeah, that's
which I didn't say, but also I'm not unhappy with the decision because if you look at the fight as a whole, like say we won championship now, Jack won. There's no way Jack did.
Should the UFC switch to that way of judging fights?
I would. Doing
Doesn't it seem like it makes more sense?
Boxing 10-8 or 10-9 rounds is just so dumb for MMA.
Just sometimes you lose the first 2 rounds and you win the fight. That happens.
I mean, okay, a good example that the first one comes to my head. Darren Stewart versus Kevin Holland.
Yeah.
First round, super competitive. Second round, Kevin Holland's just, he wins the round. Third round, Darren Stewart is on top of him, mauling him for 3 minutes.
Right.
But because Kevin Holland won the first 2 rounds.
Barely won the first round, and they count that the same as the second round that Kevin Holland won. It's the same value as if you win by a little or a lot. It makes no sense. Anytime I think about how they judge fights, I compare it to any other sport. I'm like, what if they did that in basketball? Like, you're up 12, but you won the quarter. 1 quarter to none. It doesn't matter that you won by 12. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
It works in boxing. It does not. It just, there's so many holes, isn't there, in MMA?
Yeah.
It's too complicated to do it just.
And I also, I've said this over and over again with no proof, which is always good to go on YouTube and talk about. But I do not think. I think there's times where the judges are not keeping track of the score as the fight's going, and then they get to the end of the fight and they try to remember from the beginning and score it up. And that's when sometimes you get these weird scores where it's like, that wasn't a 30-27. What did he talk? But I think they forget the score in the middle of rounds or just don't.
I know that there is I cannot remember. Any boxing fan should know. There was a time where I think it was the same judge that did the Triple G Canelo fight that scored it. Completely one-sided.
Adelaide Bird, probably.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
And the person, you know it. And one of the judges that knew her said that she asked, "Who's this guy?" and leant over, it just had no fucking idea, and then was like, "Okay, what's he?" And then she did an MMA fight and leant over and went, "What's he doing?" Like, what? What do you mean? What's he doing?
Yeah, I remember that. That was Adelaide.
Yeah, but
it was like a Kimura or something, and
How many judges are like this that just aren't?
Yeah, and the answer is not just to put fighters as judges, which I've heard a million times. Do you know how biased fighters are towards their fighting styles, towards their people? Yeah. It's no, you're gonna have a kickboxer who never, you're gonna have the kickboxer who's like, oh no, that's not good enough. There's just. You can't. I think fighters would make it even worse, honestly, because sometimes you hear Michael Bisping doing his judging. You're like, wait, what?
It's all from a striking perspective. DC's all from a wrestling perspective.
Yeah, and that was what you don't need that from judges either. It's kind of weird to say you don't want judges with with martial arts experience, but it's almost like you don't. But they need to have martial arts knowledge at least.
Yeah, and when I was speaking to Dan Hardy on the MMA show last time. At the end, we were saying that we were talking about Herb Dean fucking up because we love to trash Herb Dean on my channel. And
the Reaper.
The real Steve Mazzagatti.
The real Reaper.
And basically saying there's no accountability for referees or judges.
Nope.
So why interview? Why not go? If there's a really crazy decision, there's a split decision. Why can't we bring up the judge? And just shove a mic in their face and go, "Why did you score it this way?" And they can just go, "I scored it like this because of he bit too many feints. He was getting pressured backwards.
No.
I took it.
Never will happen. Accountability for judges is not going to happen.
Yeah, it's so shit. But again, I'm not unhappy at all. Jack Shaw won. I'm really happy, but it was a close fucking fight. Valliev lived up to everything I was ranting on about. This is a dangerous guy. It's not a walkthrough for Jack, and it was a good, shot. He got
just
Who else has dropped Valliev like that other than Trevin Jones with that one punch? So
I mean, that's how Valiev's lost all his fights, is getting dropped at some point.
Yeah,
so
he's
too wild.
Yeah, that's it. Wild. That's a good word for him.
Yeah, and then Corey McKenna released Reed. It was fine fight. Corey McKenna never should have been a minus 250 favorite. I stand by that. Yes. And I had it for Elise Reed. I don't know. I don't think it was a split personally.
I had first for Corey. Second was fucking close. Third I had for Elise.
Yeah.
Again, exactly. It wasn't like anything major. It was just she had more activity and was landing more shots, and also pressured Corey and actually hurt her in the third. But it was very close. That is a decision where I can understand a split. Absolutely, that is completely subjective. That fight.
Yeah.
I scored it personally for Elise. Someone I was talking to at the time scored it for Corey. So
yeah, I had for Elise, but I mean, either way, like, I'm not sure how good Corey will be. We'll kind of see. I agree with getting judges on a show and tell us why, unless they have money on a fighter. Exactly. I mean, that's very true. Or unless they have money on the split decision prop.
I think it's illegal for any ref or judge to bet.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's been controversies in every single sport with judges or referees having involvement with it.
And Stevie Wonder, that's Adelaide Bird, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. AKA, Stevie Wonder. And then, finishing out the card, we got Makayev. He's the real deal, as you said.
Yeah, this is the guy I was, weirdly, him and Arnold Allen. I love Arnold Allen to bits. And Makayev was the next one for me because I've watched all his Brave fights. I've watched a lot of his amateur fights where he was like 25-0. And
went to a decision in a ton of them.
He's had all these, and he's 21 years old. Never been beaten. He's got Dagestani background, but he's representing Great Britain, which is brilliant for us because we get to claim him.
Finally,
we've got our own Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, you got your British smasher.
We've got a British wrestler finally. Brad Pickett.
If his name was Muhammad Nurmagomedov, he would be such a star right now. It's hilarious that just because his name doesn't have an Av in it, Makayev, like it's gonna take him one or two more fights for people to be like, oh, this guy's good.
Sure. But the fact that he just opened it up at flyweight, has sensational knockout power, and wrapped up a DAS within 50 seconds. He's special, man. This kid is so fucking good. And he wants to be the youngest champ of all time, which will have to beat the age of, 23 and a half of John. Yep. So he's 21 now. He's getting a ranked opponent next. He doesn't want the Sean O'Malley, the Paddy treatment of...
No.
He wants, give me the best guy you can that's available, and I will smash him.
Put him in there with a Kai Kara France type of guy, and I give him a chance right away.
So do I. I know that's
Brandon Royval. I think all those guys.
Give him Tim Elliott. Give him Tim Elliott.
At 21, to give him Tim Elliott would be a way to really prove immediately too. Sligo doesn't stop. Sal Diamato. Yeah, that bastard. Exactly. Robert Chicken Wings. You're welcome in here anytime. I agree.
Great name as well, sir.
Yeah. Well, I remember Robot Chicken back in the day. Great show on Cartoon Network. Missed that thing. But I mean, is this the card of the year so far for 2022?
It is for me, and it's also arguably the greatest fight night I've ever seen. It's definitely the best British card as well by a country mile.
Has to be that, yes.
Yeah.
I'd have to look, but I think it's the best card so far this year until 273, which I'll be at live in Jacksonville to see Hazmat smash
Chimaev. Yeah, man,
Hazmat arrives.
Yeah, that is gonna be insane, isn't it?
He's my favorite fighter in the world right now.
I think everyone is on the hype. We know there's a hype train. Like the same.
This is a hype train that even people. This is a hype train that even people like Bunny who hate hype trains are on. Like you can't deny this hype train because it's not hype. It's based on hard work, and he's the most talented guy in the room. He's the hardest worker in the room and the most talented. It's not fair to have both. You're not supposed to have both. That's not how it works. Like when you have all the talent, you end up like Darren Till and like resting on your laurels. And when you have all the hard work, you don't have the talent and you end up like Darren Elkins or something. Like it doesn't match up like this ever. That's when, it's like John Jones, extremely talented, can't keep his head out of his ass and doesn't go into the gym a lot. And then these type of things happen. Hazmat is the realest of the real. I would favor him over anybody outside of heavyweight. Light heavyweight, I don't know, I guess. But anybody middleweight, to middleweight or 170. I definitely favor him over anybody.
It's mad, isn't it? There's one I've written some notes down because I'm doing my breakdown soon for next week about it. It's one I'm putting a lot of time into.
Yeah,
and there's one
Burns
point
is so good. Burns is so good.
That's one thing I just want to make sure is like I hope people realize that there's a real possibility Burns smokes him.
Yeah,
there's a real possibility Burns and him are in a war. What happens if Khamzat cannot take Burns down? He is a legit, not just a good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's a world champion. Yeah. And he's got hands for days. That doesn't happen.
Right.
Often. Imagine Damian Maia with hands.
Right. And it's like kind of like the Topuria Jai Herbert fight if it's on the feet a lot. Where if, Burns gets into his range, he is going to be able to hurt Khamzat without Khamzat being able to necessarily hurt him. That being said, like I hate to say it, I just don't see a world where Khamzat loses to anybody right now. So it's like until I see it, I'm not picking against it. And I'm never like that with a fighter. I'm really not. But Khamzat has. I picked Gerald Mearshart.
So did I. I love Gerald. GM3.
After that, I'm just like never mind, man. The Li Jing Leon performance, like I get it. Burns is miles ahead of Lee, but it's
not get punched,
dude. I think he's gonna pick up Burns and smash him in his corner, and just like make an example.
It's hard for me to see that. But also, I'd like to say as well, which is the second part of my notes.
Mm-hmm.
If Burns does win, he will not get the credit he deserves because it's just a hype train. Whereas if Khamzat wins, he will get all the credit for destroying.
All the more credit for Burns. All the more credit for Burns for taking the fight, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Same as Leon. He was scheduled. He accepted it twice. They made 2 official dates. Like Burns and Leon for me are the real deal because everyone else is dodging this fucker.
Yeah, man. Like Usman's like, I'm gonna go up to 205.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
Not even 185 because my friend's there. Yeah. I'm gonna go to 205. Like, and Khamzat will come up there too. Like he's gonna find you, Usman.
Leon has been confirmed. If you saw that, Leon is the next shot, which is we have a real possibility of. This will be the 3rd ever British fighter to fight for a world title, which is awesome.
How do you rate his chances?
Fourth. Sorry, fourth.
How do you rate his chances here?
Very high. Very high.
Ooh.
I think he's got excellent grappling, superb grappling. The fact that he was able
Look at Manny dropping the knowledge here with the dates, bro. He knows the dates that Leon Edwards accepted the fight with Khamzat. Manny's such a key.
3. I mean, how much more of a badass can Leon Edwards be?
Yeah.
But Leon technically is a way better striker than Usman, but Usman has considerably higher power. So that's something to watch out for. But I just off the cusp, I'm always going to back Leon in this. It's a very close fight for both. I think it's a decision fight. I don't see anyone getting finished. I think it's going to be a very technical fight. I think you're going to see a different side of Usman and a different side of Leon because there's so much riding on it. And
I think Usman will be a decent favorite too. I think you're going to get a decent underdog price on Leon.
He should be. But again, I would favor Edwards over Colby as well. I really believe Edwards is a joint, if not the best welterweight in the world right now, and I am a little biased.
Yeah, I think Edwards might be the best 165er in the world.
165, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if he's the.
Do you reckon he could beat Diego Sanchez?
He's always just looked a little bit narrow to me. Like
he's got small hips. He's got small hips.
Man. Like
he's got the McGregor frame, hasn't he?
I don't like that for 170. But it's working. But
it works so well, man.
Right. I mean, like if there was a 160, 165 division, like that's where he would, because he's not 155, obviously. And he, it's funny how much better he is than his brother. That's the last thing I'll say. Fabian Edwards, I can't believe they're related.
He's a good guy, but he's no Leon.
No, like Leon got the talent in that family. But yeah, it was a great fight night. Looking forward to, kind of having a more sane fight night this week in Columbus. Like they can't all be like that. That was exhausting to deal with the crowd and all that energy. Like it was impressive, but it's kind of nice to go back to Columbus where we can get, some great matchups, but still a little more of a, normal fight night this upcoming week. But I'm so excited for it. I'm always excited for them.
Absolutely, man. And it's on the channel and yours on Wednesday?
Yep, Wednesday. Usually we go around 3 p.m. my time, Eastern time, 7 p.m. your time. typically, but it can kind of range from there. But Aaron the Dog MMA on YouTube for all breakdowns. PFL, Cage Warriors, UFC, obviously, Bellator, LFA, Fury. Not won championships because they refuse to release odds over here. But if it has odds, we try to do it. So I think this week we only have the PFL and UFC, so it's a pretty easy one. Yeah, so it's a pretty easy one. But yeah, we'll have the PFL Challenger Series breakdown on the channel on Thursday too. So that's pretty much the week for Aaron the Dog MMA. It's an easier week than usual.
Awesome. Well, if you haven't checked it out, guys, make sure you go head over. And if you haven't checked out the Discord as well, pop in there.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to build it up. There's not many people in there at all at the moment, but there are some people having some fun and chatting. So if anyone wants to pop over, it is on my Instagram posts. It's in the bio on social and on the community post on the YouTube page. And also for everyone that was supportive over last week, my channel kind of blew up with crazy amount of subs. It got like 2,500 hours of watch time.
Well deserved.
Thanks, man. It just went absolute fucking nuts. And I'm very close to monetization now, which is great. So cheers all for that. Appreciate you coming on, dude.
Anytime, man. Anytime. It was great talking with you as always. And we'll talk on Wednesday about the upcoming UFC card headlined by Dawkins and Curtis Blades. Chris Dawkins.
Chris Dawkins, yeah.
Kyle's not stepping up in weight.
Perfect. All right, dude. Well, we'll see you later, guys.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.